What's up, everybody? You know what time it is. Friday night, 9 o'clock Central from the Forum. Fantasy season is trucking along. We're in the playoffs, second round. And maybe you're like Joe Burrow out there thinking about throwing in the towel because Puka Nakua put up 50 points on you this week. Well, here's how we bounce back. Let's go. What's up, everybody? We're in the house. Joe, got your gingerbread man shirt on, rocking for the Christmas season.
Got to, man. You got to.
Look, so I know you are facing Puka Nakua in, what'd you say, 5 leagues this week?
Yeah, 5 leagues. It's a great start.
How are you feeling? Are you ready to throw in the towel, or do you think somebody's going to pop up and match?
All right, here's the thing. Puka Nakua did what Puka Nakua does. It's not that surprising to me that he had that big of a game. The only thing that was surprising was that Seattle's defense had been so good, and then Matt Stafford puts up 450 yards. Puka has 200 plus yards, couple of tutties. But at the end of the day, we saw it last week. There were teams that had Kyle Pitts and lost. There were teams that had Kyle Pitts and Travis Etienne and lost. So just because one player gets a big performance early, it's a big boost on Thursday night if you have your guy that goes off. But if you're on the flip side, yeah, we might tinker with some things, but you don't want to lose your mind. You don't want to make roster decisions that aren't going to help you score the most points. That's the name of the game. You have dogs on your side too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the semifinals. So stick with it. Be cool. A lot of football left to play.
Dude, luckily the guy that I'm playing that had Puka also had Kyron, who had a bust week. We got Tryhard in the chat. Let's go. Appreciate you tuning in tonight. Got Albert. Sup, fellas? Albert's always coming in clutch.
Albert's everywhere.
I knew tonight was going to be tough. We're competing with Oklahoma versus Alabama. They're going to be coming up with the second half of the game. Then you got, Jake Paul fight later on. You got lots of stuff going on. Plus, it's the Christmas season. Most people on Friday night are either on a date or visiting family, probably, as we get closer to Christmas. But you know me and Joe. We're still here. We're still here for you.
Always.
We're still here for your fantasy football questions. So if you have them, drop them in the chat. If not, we're just going to talk ball. So here's the big conundrum that people are thinking about this week, Joe. Several teams with high-profile offensive producers have been nixed from the playoffs.
Yes.
Dallas is sitting with a 1% chance, probably not going to make it, but at least it's a 1% chance, so they'll play. You got, the Bengals who have already said, hey, they're out, and Joe Burrow's already talking about not playing football, or he doesn't know if he has.
Joe Burrow is in an existential crisis. We haven't seen somebody look like Macaulay Culkin down this bad since Home Alone 1 when he found out his mom wasn't there no more. Dude is going through it.
Yeah, well, I was looking at the stats. He's been sacked over 200 times in his very short playing career, which has been
that'll do it.
Injuries.
That'll do it.
That's more than Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck retired early. You know what I mean? He's sitting there. He's like, hey, Bengals guys, front office, back office, anybody willing to listen. I would love to not be hit so much. That would be a great thing. If I could just go, maybe one game, just taking a couple hits, I'm not crazy like Phillip Rivers going, man, I told my wife the other day, I just wanted to get hit again. I just want to remember what
there's a conspiracy that's going around that he was about to get booted off the NFL's health insurance, and with having 18 kids, it was the most economical thing to go back and just play a little bit more football to extend the insurance. So who's to say? I mean, prices are expensive out there. I get it.
Dude, there's so many freaking narratives. that people just come up with. Look, Philip Rivers played okay last week. Wasn't amazing, but he was efficient. They were you talk about think about this. Think about it this way. That same Seattle team, right, just beat the Rams in overtime.
Right. And they only lost by 3.
Right.
2.
And it was at the end of the game. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a easy 3. Like they had to work it at the end of the game. Clock just managed to work out for the Seahawks. But he kept them that close. Tough defense, tough game. But anyway, so you have these players, obviously you got some Cowboys out there. You got Jamar Chase, you got Joe Burrow. The Dolphins have already said, hey, guys, we're going to slow down. We're going to play Quinn Ewers. Tua is now third string. You got all the narratives. Are there any high-profile players that you think this actually impacts and that you're staying away from?
That's a good question. I always feel.
What's up, JV? Thanks for tuning in.
I always feel like in a competitive league like this, the NFL, it's the elite sport in the world, right? These guys are so competitive. They get to that point by being that competitive beast. I find it hard to believe that that many people are going to be impacted. Someone that comes to mind, I wouldn't necessarily call it elite, but if you have Travis Kelce, we know he's been banged up. We know that he's older. If he kind of gets dinged up, are they just going to shut him down for the year, knowing that they're pretty much out of contention at this point? It's players like that, because everybody else, it's like, hey, I need to go get a job. I'm not engaged to a billionaire, so I need to keep providing. I need to keep my spot. I need to do whatever. Those are the kind of situations that I'm looking for, but I think people might have been pivoting off him anyway because of the injury to Patrick Mahomes, which is a huge bummer for the league. But I think he'll be back. He's already had the surgery. He's already ready to go. But you're even looking like Drake London, for example. Atlanta has nothing to play for. He's banged up. We've seen knee injuries like this really impact other people in the NFL this season alone. Didn't really practice a ton this week, and then they're saying, hey, he's going to play. And if Drake London's out there, he's probably going to be the number one target for Kirk Cousins. It completely plummets the value of someone like Kyle Pitts. So you could be in a pretty bad spot there. But I don't think that there's anybody with enough of an injury profile that's screaming to me hey, they're probably going to shut this one down. The only one, like we said, maybe Travis Kelce. You could see maybe T. Higgins with this whole concussion thing that's been happening the last couple of weeks. Concussions are obviously bad. But when you're having those repeated head injuries like that in back-to-back weeks, you really got to look out for the player at that point.
No, 100%. I mean, T was one of those that I thought injury, but I mean, they're playing for nothing, right? Just trying to get a groove. I really like the Kelce call. That was one when that injury. So when Kansas City was eliminated and Mahomes got injured at that game, that was for me an instant sign off on Travis Kelce. He's already been underproductive, right? Then they're gonna bring in Gardner Minshew rest of season. Then Gardner Minshew's supposed to Kelce's gonna be. I'm not playing. He's gonna literally tell him I'm not playing. If you want me to go out there and run a couple routes, so I can get my bonuses or whatever, sure, I'll do that. But it's Noah Gray season, and that's if I would pivot there, but definitely going into week 2, it's hard, but I'm probably not starting him,
No. And do you think it impacts their willingness to bring Rashee Rice back? Do you think if they had something to play for this week that he might have, concussions, you got to get cleared by the third-party neurologist, so probably not, but it's they might take their time with him as well. That offense could be looking pretty tough come this week.
Got a couple more people in the chat. Jamie, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Over on Twitch, what's up, fellas? Hey, thank you for tuning in. The State the Obvious 75, giving a little bit of love. Appreciate you guys. Dane dropping in. What's up?
The Mad Dog.
Look, hey, if you got questions going into round 2 of your fantasy playoffs, drop them in. Got GB Chris coming in. He 100% would have came back if they were still playing for a playoff spot. I don't disagree with that. I don't know who you're talking about here.
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice, yeah, definitely would come back. Kelce, Rashee Rice, all of them would be playing if they were playing for, even if it was Gardner Minshew. If they were playing for a playoff spot, they're playing.
I don't think Minshew would have been that bad. I mean, especially with the matchup this week. It's a really juicy matchup against Tennessee, no offense. But yeah, they don't really have a lot of weapons. Xavier Worthy probably slides into that Rashee Rice role. So if you're looking for kind of like an ultimate boom play, that could be an answer for you. We've seen Minshew support wide receivers in the past.
We have. I will tell you this, though. Minshew looked rough. He looked rough coming in off the bench. Now, granted,
well, I mean, you got to imagine, though. If you are the backup for Patrick Mahomes, do you ever think you're going to get into the game? How many times have we seen Patrick Mahomes, like, limp off the field, lay on the ground, roll around, and then, like, the next drive, he goes for, like, a 25-yard scramble? Like, you know that you're not worrying as much in practice, like, when you're backing up Pat Mahomes.
No, 100%.
Like, he was probably smoking cigarettes on the sideline. It was like, oh, wait, I got to actually go into the game? Like, come on.
All right, we got a couple questions dropping in. Let's hit some of those. So Staten Obvious said, I'm in week 2, round 2 of the playoffs. Let's go. Hope you take home this ship. He said, I'm strapped on tight end due to injuries. Choosing between Theo Johnson and Aronde Gadsden. Opinions. What do you think, Joe? You going Theo or Gadsden?
I've been working on trying to get better at doing rankings. I do a lot of my rankings based off of vibes, and I'm trying to make more educated decisions with data. So let me just give you some data points that I find relevant, and you can kind of do with that information what you will, and I'll let you know who I'm going to pick between the two. So some things that I look at, the implied points that a team's going to score. I look at the opposing fantasy points per game allowed in the last 3 weeks. I look at the stat from Fantasy Points Data, the expected fantasy points per game. I give kind of like a confidence grade of like what I think of the player. So you think about somebody like Trey McBride is going to be 100. If you think about, say, I don't know, Noah Fant is like a 30, right? And then there's also something that's published by Fantasy Points Data that's called a coverage grade. And basically they grade on a curve who they feel has the best matchups based on the way that defenses get deployed. So let's start with Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson, the Giants are expected to have 20.3 points this week. In the last 3 weeks, their matchups only allowed 4.9 fantasy points per game, which is not necessarily ideal. That's Minnesota. They've played Dallas, Washington, Seattle. So kind of like a middling tight end like situation. Ferguson, obviously the best of the bunch out of that group. For Theo Johnson, he's getting 5.6 targets per game in the last 3 weeks, and he has a slightly negative coverage grade. Expected fantasy points, 11.33. We look at Gadsden. Gadsden's only had 4.2 points in the last 3 weeks. He's only getting 3 targets a game. Better matchup as far as 9 points allowed, and he has a good coverage grade. But given the fact that he's only seeing 3 targets a game, Theo Johnson's is lapping him in that regard. I got to take the chance with Theo and just hope that he's able to do a little bit more with it, especially because there's not a lot of receiving options. We know that for the Chargers, there's so many mouths to feed there. It's going to be tough for them. They do play Dallas, which is great, but I think that's going to be a Ladd McConkey week. I think it's going to be a Quentin Johnson could break a big one. I don't really see it there for Gadsden. So I'm going to go with Theo Johnson.
Yeah, I think Gats could have an okay game. To me, it comes down to gameplay. And since Herbert, messed up that hand,
and that offensive line is
a lot
deteriorated too.
Yeah, he's running a lot more. They're running the football. Like you look at Ladd McConkey, and he's like struggling. All those receivers are struggling. Nobody's throwing up huge games, right? So like you're dependent on somebody that's been single digits under 5 for the last 3 weeks, and then last week he finally gets a few receptions. It's all game script. Look, you look at consistency for me is key, right?
Oh, and yeah, especially right now.
We know, right? Like 8 targets, 4 targets, 5 targets, 8 targets. Like we know that Jackson Dart is going to throw it to Theo Johnson. Now, granted, they are playing Minnesota. I like the matchup better against Dallas, but give me the volume, especially because Theo seems to be Jackson Dart's top red zone target.
I will say this too, because he may be rostered because he had that big game against Cincinnati a while back, but I have what's his face? Colson Loveland as a top 5 tight end this week. Sorry, name totally slipped. He had that big game. there's so many mouths to feed typically in Chicago, but you have Rome is out. You also have Luther Burden is out. So basically, it's going to be DJ Moore in Loveland. I love the matchup for him. I think he's going to have a big game. He's flashed when he's been there. So if he's available on your waiver wire, I clear him way heavy above both of those guys.
Don't hate that. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of background there. Zach said in running back hell for this week of the playoffs. What are some outlier running backs that I could look at in a pinch this week? Maybe some high ceiling people that could just pop off.
I need to look at like rostership because I couldn't even tell you like somebody that like is probably rostered who would be a great fit this week is Ken Gainwell. Like, dude is balling right now. He's getting receptions like crazy, but he's done it so consistently that he's probably on rosters. So one obvious one, it looks like Josh Jacobs isn't going to play. Emmanuel Wilson, if he's on the wire, if he's available, you got to scoop him up. You got to go with it there. Michael Carter is looking to be the lead back in Arizona this week. He could do well. You do want to tread lightly, though. It's a terrible matchup on the ground, but like we kind of been saying, from a high floor perspective, from a volume perspective, that's going to be there as well. And yeah, those are the two that jump off the charts. Let me take a look at like rostership. Let me see who is below 50%, and then we kind of pull some names out of that hat.
You know, I will say this. Weirdly enough, though, Michael Carter's going to get the nod, theoretically.
Demercado could be solid.
Demercado could have he could get the receiving work. He could do his 3 for 40, 50 yards and a touchdown. Like, who knows? So I would be wary of that. I mean, Atlanta's not a cush matchup. But you know, like, yeah, San Francisco, neither one of those guys are probably rostered. So that's a good go. I'm looking at people that aren't rostered in like a standard 12-team
Have they said
PPR
anything
league.
about Woody Marks yet?
They have not, but I mean, he's not going to be available.
Is questionable, but if he doesn't play, like somebody that you could have on the bench ready to go, Jawar Jordan looked great last week. Nick Chubb's banged up. He had 100 yards basically in a little bit of action. They signed him to their active roster because somebody probably would have poached him off their practice squad. So if Woody Marks isn't there, I love Jawar Jordan this week, but you don't know if he's going to play. What time is that game for them this week for Houston? Are they a 1 o'clock game or are they a Saturday game? When do they play?
Houston plays at hold on. I think they are 3:25. So
that's on Sunday.
Middle of the day game.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. The other one you could look at, the betting line is saying Audric Estime is going to be the lead back for the Saints.
That's who I was going to say is like Estime is set to lead the Saints, you know, with no Kamara, which he's probably not going to play. They're not going to rush him back. Devin Neal's banged up, probably not going to play. They're down. Like, they're down to the bottom. And if there's somebody that's going to pop off, Estime could have a big week, especially if for a touchdown. Like, he's the bowling ball type. Like, you know,
his underlying stats coming out of college, he really profiled well. I know he's kind of like the bigger back, but as far as being able to workhorse, eat a lot of carries, like he definitely profiles well for that. So I could see it. It's just, man, you got to be in a real desperate spot. I mean, he wasn't even on the team a couple weeks ago, but maybe this is going to be like a Tim Hightower moment 2015. Like, let's get after it.
You know, or who knows? Could be a random one-off Cam Akers blow-up week, right?
Keep those Achilles intact, please.
Yeah. We got Josh in the chat. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. GB Chris said, if Christian Watson plays, are you starting him?
I mean, maybe. It's so hard to say without knowing rosters. If you look at what he's done in the last few weeks, it's really been good. The injury crushed him the week before. He's getting about 6 targets a game. His expected fantasy points is 12, but he's had more points. He's had 14.5 in the last 3, primarily because he's had a lot of touchdowns. The Bears have been pretty strong against receivers, right? They're a very ball hawkish team, but Christian Watson is kind of one of those guys that you just need one. If I had to choose, I would probably say if he's going to be like a flex and you need upside, yes. Otherwise, I think there's probably higher floor options there. But if you can drop what your receiving options are, we can probably make a more informed decision. But it's like maybe like I would start him over, say, like Michael Wilson, now that we know that Marv Harrison's going to play. But am I going to start him over, say, Cortland Sutton? Probably not. Am I going to start him over JMO? No. Am I going to start him over Jalen Waddle with Quinn Ewers? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be interesting. I will say so. Got a couple people in the chat chiming in. Nah, Chicago going to get them cheeseheads. You got Josh in the chat. Nope, laugh out loud. He will get 4 catches and blow a cankle. You got a lot of
I didn't know that Christian Watson turned into Calvin Benjamin. When did that happen?
Well, here's the thing. So Christian Watson came back from his injury, and he was pretty productive. You know who his best game against us in the season was against?
Was it the Bears?
It was the Bears.
Yeah.
Last time they played Chicago, he went 4 for 4 for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns.
But see, that's the hard part about the Green Bay Packers offense, and that's the concern, is that he's going to get probably 6 targets. Christian Watson is a freak enough athlete that he can do a lot of good with those targets. But if he doesn't, I mean, it can turn into a dud really quick.
Here's the thing. If it's 4 targets, his average depth per target, I think, on the season is close to 20 yards. Like you look at his game against Pittsburgh, 21 yards per catch.
Yeah.
Carolina, 29 yards. Philly, 22 yards. Then he had 11 yard and a 9 yard against Giants and Minnesota. Detroit, 20 yards. Chicago, 22 yards. It's deep catches. He's going to get
you
yards.
know how like on Smash Up they have the card that it's like if you have a 40-yard catch, like you get 30 points. Like Christian Watson is like the epitome of that card.
It comes down to, essentially every catch for Christian Watson is almost 3 points, right? So if he averages 4 catches a game, right, then you got to think the floor is 12 points. So depending on who you have,
I would probably put it slightly lower because it's like, all right, like make it like 3.5. So I would say like 10-point floor.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm good with it. They're definitely going to have to score points in that game, and he's definitely some Jordan Love looks to. So I am good with rolling with Christian Watson. Obviously, it depends on who you're starting him over, but I don't think he has just a complete dud of a week. All right, Josh in the chat. So, guys, working on a flex spot here, looking to start Sutton or Monty. Sutton seems safer, but I have Gibbs, so I kind of like starting both. There, guys. Haha, what do the experts think? Joe, what do you think? You running Gibbs and Monty this week, or would you rather get Sutton in there?
This is an interesting one. I feel like I can give some perspective as a Steelers fan. They did something last week that I didn't know was possible, and it was like give effort when the other team was running the ball. If you look at last week, they really shut down the run, which Miami's been a top 5 rushing offense this season. So it was surprising without their first-round rookie, Derek Harmon, there was a difference in 100 yards per game when he's played and when he has not played. And they bottled up HN. They did a really good job against them overall. I think that Gibbs is still going to have a great game. He's just a matchup nightmare. Monty, I don't feel like he's being used enough to really garner like a good feel about playing him. It's going to have to just be kind of a lucky touchdown at the goal line, but I don't think he's getting enough work. Let me pull up my sheet real quick on the running back side.
He's consistently gone down. About 5 games ago, he was under 40% snap share. The last 2 games, he's been about around a 30% snap share. He's averaging single-digit carries. You're looking for a touchdown. Like the 3 games that he's been relevant, like the last 3 games, you had 12 points, you had a touchdown against Green Bay.
Right.
You had 14 points, it was a touchdown against Dallas. You had 9 points, that was a touchdown against the Rams. So you take away the touchdowns, and you're looking at 6 points, 8 points, and 3 points. So
it's gonna be Sutton for me for sure. If you look at Sutton in the last 3, Troy Franklin kind of had a better game last week, but let's see. Sutton's averaged about 15 points a game.
Sutton had 25 points last week.
Right. But he's kind of like the early season Sutton. It was like, what's going on? What's happening? Expected fantasy points per game, 15 points. He's getting 8 2/3 targets in the last 3 weeks. The other thing that's interesting about Cortland Sutton is that he's become a lot more of a red zone option for them. In the last 3 weeks, he's averaged 1.6 inside the 20 targets per game. Really big indicator for being able to get touchdowns as a wide receiver if you're getting those red zone looks. It's some of the best numbers in the league. He's only behind Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then of all people, Michael Wilson. And then he's fourth. He's right behind that. So for me, Sutton's doing a lot of good. They're going up against Jacksonville, who's been pretty stout against receivers, and pretty much everything. Like their defense has just been pretty solid, but you have to trust that it's going to be a good game for them. And he doesn't have to have a huge game to do better than Montgomery. So I think it's easy Sutton there for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm rolling Sutton. I want 10 targets per game in the last 2 games. That's good usage. Let's see. Keep rolling. Chris said, so Josh Jacobs looks to be a game time decision. Like you said earlier, if Josh Jacobs does not play, Emmanuel Wilson is a must start. So game time decision. In my flex, I can do Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Christian Watson. Joe, who do you like?
I don't think that T is going to play this week. I don't think he clears protocol. He hasn't yet. For me, it's going to be Wan'Dale Robinson. He has the tougher matchup, but he's averaging 10 targets a game this last few weeks that he's playing. He has a really good connection with Dart. He's getting he's getting 1 target inside the 20 a game. His expected fantasy points, 18 points a game. Like that's top 10 numbers right there. Wan'Dale does not get enough respect for what he is. He was kind of profiled as this 5'8" slot receiver kind of guy, but he's really done well. He's going to be a really nice wide receiver too for Malik Neighbors, but he's serving as the 1 right now. So ride with it. I think that they're going to have a negative game script. They don't have a high implied point total, but I have enough confidence that Dart's going to sling it his way, and I feel good about him. I have him as a wide receiver 16 this week.
He said I'm doing T if he plays, obviously, but I don't know if he will.
Yeah, look, I don't think he does.
I don't think he does, and even then, I'm still a little weary. Like he came back from that concussion, he got reconcussed the next game. Like it's not a given that he can't get banged up.
And they were bad concussions too. It wasn't like like you came off the field and you're like, oh, what happened? It was like you saw like a little sprinkle of CTE like flash over him after they showed the replay, and it was like, oh, this is not great.
Yeah, I like Wan'Dale. Wan'Dale, like it's like stating the obvious said down here. He's number 9 in PPR formats, wide receiver 9 on the season. For a team that has 2 wins, it's a great point. Like he has been an absolute stud this year, and it's been pretty consistent. Like the floor seems to be around 12 to 15 points with 20. He had 2 games that he scored like 30 points, sprinkled in there. So definitely, not only do you get a floor, but I think he's also the ceiling play in it. Like Christian Watson's a ceiling play, but I think Wan'Dale's even more of a ceiling play than Watson.
Well, Watson is a very volatile play too, where it's like having a high floor and the ceiling, like that's the dream scenario in a playoff matchup.
So, in Josh here, T or Wan'Dale, it's going to be Wan'Dale for us. Let's see here. Stating the obvious, it's sprinkle of CTE. Dude, it's tough out there for a football player. He said, Wan'Dale against the best receiving defense makes me nervous, but I will keep my eye on Jacobs. Look, here's the deal. I understand the defensive matchups and lockdown corners and stuff like that. Minnesota has not been – it's not like they haven't been scored on by receivers, right? And it's more of a volume game. In this game, most likely the Giants play from behind. The Giants are running right now with 2 mediocre-ish running backs. They've got Tyrone Tracy, who's really doing more in the air than running the ball, right? And they got Devin Singletary, who somehow still managed to land a spot on a roster being somewhat slightly productive. But they want to get Jackson Dart out there. They want to get Jackson Dart airing it out. And so he's going to do that. And with Wan'Dale, you only need a few catches, right? Like they same thing with Theo. You only need, so many catches. But if the targets are there, I mean, you look at. I was trying to see if they played Minnesota earlier in the year, but I mean, even
They would
against
have because they're
stout,
different divisions.
you look at stout receiving defenses, especially like Philly has one of the best defenses against the slot, right? Like he scored 20 points against Philly in the first game. Denver, incredible secondary, right? Scored 16 points against Denver. 12 targets, 6 catches, similar outing, right? You got Chicago, decent secondary. Scored 12 points there. 11 targets, 6 catches, 62 yards. It's a byproduct of you look at Detroit even. Detroit, granted their pass defense has not been amazing because they've had some injuries, but still a good pass defense. Went for 9 catches, 156 yards, and a touchdown. So, like, matchups are important, but you can't let matchups overrule volume and talent, which sometimes happens. Like, some people go, oh, freaking CMC is playing against the Rams. I'm going to no, maybe CMC is a stretch, but you get what I'm saying? Like, we're going to bench, somebody because they're playing the Rams.
Here's the other thing. So if you look at who they've played the last 3 weeks, they played Dallas. CeeDee Lamb put up 17. George Pickens didn't really do a lot that game. Washington got shut down. Seattle got shut down. The week before that, Green Bay got shut down. Chicago had no one the week before that. Baltimore was not playing. I don't think that Lamar Jackson played that game. What is the common factor amongst all of that? Lack of mobility at the quarterback position, right? Jackson Dart is extremely good at evading sacks, extending plays, letting his guys get open. Who is his safety valve? Wan'Dale Robinson, right? So I think there's a lot of fear around, hey, if JSN couldn't do it, why would Wan'Dale be able to? And it's because I could beat Sam Darnold in a race. I could not beat Jackson Dart. He would also run through a brick wall at the finish line. So I think that's the big piece of it, where it's like that mobility and his ability to extend plays. You can't cover people forever. I don't care how good you are at it. Eventually, you're going to break free. And Jackson Dart is great at it, making the play extend.
They're coming off a game where they just gave up 423 yards to Dallas. Like, fine. Like I'm just not worried about it personally. I got Case Space in the chat. Full PPR, pick one wide receiver, one flex. Aaron Jones, Godwin, Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Boutte, Shakir. So you got all wide receivers and one running back mixed in there potentially.
Man, it's crazy. If you look at some of the numbers for Godwin, you're like, all right, cool. Like he could be solid. But it's crazy. He was on the field for 90% of snaps last week, but was third in targets. It's Mike Evans, who's going to have a monster week. Then it's Igbuka, who it depends if him and Baker can figure out if they're on the same page or not. If you look at the underlying numbers, Igbuka's expected fantasy points per game with Mike Evans and without Mike Evans are exactly the same, more or less, like by a fraction of a point. It's just whether or not he can pull in the touchdown. He has dropped like so many things or had like so many like miscommunication with Baker that it's really hurt him from a fantasy perspective, but he's doing a lot of good stuff still. That being said, I don't feel great about Godwin despite the matchup. Dobbs and Reed, it's the same kind of a thing. I'm trying to think of like if I had to pick one receiver out of the bunch, who would it be?
I mean, for me, it's going to be between Shakir and Godwin. Honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna play Aaron Jones as the flex spot.
Aaron Jones is a great matchup. He hasn't been getting a ton of carries, but 31 points per game allowed in half PPR. It's kind of a solid matchup for him there against the Giants. It should be a positive game script situation for him. So I like that a decent bit. That's definitely the floor play. To your
for me,
point,
it's also in PPR receptions. Like he's had at least 3 receptions in the last 5-6 games that he's played.
Well, he's only averaging 2.3 targets in the last 3.
Right. But I'm saying he's had 3 or more receptions in the last 5 games. Minus Washington, which he really didn't play that much in.
Yeah, he got hurt. So that's probably what's skewing the numbers a little bit. I'm thinking I'm going Jones here, honestly. I don't feel great about a ton of these wide receiver matchups.
No, so you have to pick a wide receiver and
Oh,
one
I
flex.
picked one. Okay, so
Aaron Jones is your flex.
I
So
got it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
wide receiver is easily between Godwin and Shakir.
Where is Shakir on my list? So Shakir's only averaged 6 points per game in the last 3. He's only gotten 3.6 targets. I don't feel great about that at all. He had a good game a week or 2 ago, but that was really it. I don't like Dobbs just now that Reed is back. How did you think that Reed did in
He
that?
was okay. He was less
Like he's playing with like a Liz Frank.
He's been less than Godwin.
Yeah. So
Godwin has averaged double digits points per game.
I think it's Godwin for me. Just because of the target share, you have a smash matchup if you look at what they're up against. Tampa Bay going against Carolina. Carolina, that defense is definitely one that you want to attack. Mike Evans is like I'm like borderline top 5 with him this week, but Godwin, I think that he could sneak in and give you a high floor performance. It's just he's not going to get hyper targeted. Like you're not going to get Chris Godwin before his ankle fell off. Chris Godwin, like you're going to get. I'm not the most important in the pecking order, Chris Godwin, but it's still better than the rest of what's here.
Look, snaps have gotten up. Catches are getting up. I mean, 10 points, 10 points, 14 points, 3 weeks of double digits. I'll just go that for the risk. I don't see any, Reed or Dobbs, you're hoping for one big catch. At least Godwin's going to be involved, 98% snap share. So I'm good with you there. K-Space says smash the like button. Appreciate you. That like button, that sub button, it always helps us out. Crispy 3385, Rico or Estime this week.
Yeah, it's tough because the Saints have a crusher of a matchup. Like it's an absolutely sick matchup. I don't have the cojones to say, hey, with confidence, that Estime is going to be that guy. New Orleans going up against the Jets, who have been an absolute turnstile since they lost Quentin Williams, absolute run stuffer. 40.9 points per game allowed in the last 3. That being said, I do feel like Rico has a solid matchup as well. It's not as positive, but Rico's averaging 17 carries per game. I'm not going to go away from that. We could very much see a timeshare, or you see Evan Hall be the lead back. I can't risk that this week. I'm rolling with Nico.
All right. So Rico it is. Rico. I like that. GB Chris said if Watson doesn't play, then Reed should get a lot of love. No pun intended. Yeah, I mean, possibly could be a Dobbs game. I mean, if Watson doesn't play, that may shift a little bit of the narrative between Dobbs or Reed, but Watson.
I think if Watson doesn't play, I would be considering Dobbs, who's been like kind of the red zone target for them. But I think I still probably lean Godwin a little bit just because I like the matchup more.
If Watson doesn't play, what's it? I like if Watson doesn't play. Weirdly enough, it bumps Green Bay's tight end up for me.
Musgrave,
yeah, Musgrave. You look at
Musgrave.
I mean, you say that, but you look at last week when Watson went down, all of a sudden into the game, Musgrave's getting targets. He had 6 targets, 4 catches, 52 yards.
I mean, that's the Green Bay stat line special right there. Like that's just playing in Green Bay.
What I'm saying is
4 catches. What do you do with it?
Oh God, yeah.
The difference is Tucker Kraft could do that, and he would have like 20 yards of yak on every catch.
All right, guys. So we got 20 minutes left of the show. So drop your questions in, your start sits, maybe you're even starting to lean into your dynasty roster. Most leagues haven't opened up for trades or anything like that yet. But if you got questions on maybe like who you should target or who's somebody you're looking to maybe sell this offseason, you can drop those into. We're here for your dynasty needs along as redraft. But mainly, we want to make sure that you win round 2 of your fantasy football playoffs. So pop those in. And they said, or Golden, I wish they would let him go crazy. Look, Golden was one of those I took, and I should have known better because he's a Green Bay receiver. But I was like, Green Bay doesn't reach that high on receivers. They're going to highlight him. I can grab him as a late round wide receiver, alongside my 8 running backs I drafted, and it's going to be okay. And it has not been okay. It has not been okay. And, to be honest, and Joe, I want your opinion. I know obviously we have a Green Bay fan in the chat. I'm going to pose a question here.
Okay.
Where are we really at on Jordan Love?
Are we talking like real life or fantasy?
Fantasy, real life. Do we think obviously the Packers have this thing where they bring in somebody, they sit them for a few years, they give them the spot, and then it's Brett Favre, and then it's Aaron Rodgers. Like, is Jordan Love the caliber that they wanted him to be in that position, or?
Yes. I think with certainty, I think that they're thrilled that they have Jordan Love. I think from a fantasy perspective, Jordan Love is incredibly frustrating because he doesn't hyper target anyone, which is what Matt LaFleur wants. Matt LaFleur is going to say, hey, I have this play, do the right thing. I'm expecting to get this guy open, and I need to be able to trust that you will get me the ball. And Jordan Love is excellent at that. And that's not to say like, oh, he's a game manager. He can only do what the coaches tell him. He's just not like hey, I'm going to chuck it up and hope that my guy can win the battle. He'll do that at times, but he's a very cerebral player. He understands the system. He does really well with it. However, from a fantasy football perspective, it's actually very interesting if you look at quarterbacks and their ability to support wide receivers. That plays a much bigger role than you think in like the wide receiver success. If you look at like someone like Brian Thomas, huge bust this year, right? Has Trevor Lawrence ever supported a top 12 wide receiver? No.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, debatable. Mac Jones was in there last year a lot.
Right. A lot of that was Mac Jones. So it's like when you're thinking about that, especially going into next season, it's like, all right, like, yeah, like you said with Golden. Hey, like they drafted him high. Cool. I took him at I actually traded him in a 1 QB league. This league crazily hoards quarterbacks. So my quarterback situation going into the year, I had Matthew Stafford, Drake May, Bo Nix, and then I think I had someone randomly. Oh, no, I didn't. It was those 3. And I was like, I need one quarterback. Stafford is old, but he's going to be balling. I want to keep Drake May. Let me just throw Bo out there. He had the top 12 season. I got the 111 pick, and I was like, all right, let me snag Golden. And I was like, sweet. This is going to be awesome. Great flip for me. Drake May's obviously panned out, and we've done nothing with it. I think we need to give some grace here. There's obviously a crowded room. We're so used to seeing these players immediately break out and do things. But it used to be 6-7 years ago. It was like you can't judge a wide receiver until year 3. And now it's like if you don't have 1 million yards by week 4, you're a bust. So it's like you need to practice patience. Just hold him a little bit. But I think Love, the biggest challenge is he going to have a wide receiver 1? I don't think so. I think that the ceiling, like we've been talking about, 6-7 targets, 4 or 5 catches. Can you find the end zone? You might have a year where somebody gets fluky and has a bunch of touchdowns, but I don't see that in the cards unless he changes the way that he plays, which I don't anticipate.
I will say this. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence. I would take Trevor Lawrence and a Trevor Lawrence receiver over Jordan Love.
I mean, are we talking about like what's happened in the last month with Liam Cohen? Because that looks like
no. Just in general, you look at Trevor Lawrence outside of his rookie year where he threw for 3,600 yards. If he plays a full season, he's thrown for over 4,000 yards. Jordan Love has done that once.
Yeah.
And that was his best season. His best season, he threw for 4,100 yards. Trevor Lawrence, averages it. Like, I mean, it just I like that better. I definitely like him in the Liam Cohen offense. He's started to come alive in the last couple games. In fact, I will say this: BTJ, despite how everybody feels, is going to be a buy low target for me this offseason. After probably what would be the worst year of his career, call it a sophomore slump, whatever. Lad McConkey's in a sophomore slump. I would be buying those guys in the offseason. All right, keep moving. All right, Jason Ortiz, since Puka got me 46, I need safe starts.
Nice.
Start 5. 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 2 flexes. Rico, Hampton, Pollard, Monungai if Swift misses. Estime, then Tetaroa, Wandale, Shakir.
Okay.
So you get 2 running backs. So you've got Hampton in there.
Probably Rico. Well, if Swift is out, you're playing Monungai for sure.
Yeah. So
I think Swift is going to play. So Rico probably is my second bet. Pollard has had the big games in the last 2 weeks, as you are well aware, out of nowhere. But his explosive run rate went from 3% to 55% in the last 2 weeks. That is not sustainable. He doesn't get goal line
Kansas
touches.
City this week.
They're also playing Kansas City, who's going to be hella mad. There's like that. Pollard is one of those like you're point chasing and it's a bust waiting to happen. So I would say Hampton 1, Monungai 2 if Swift doesn't play, but if not, then I'm playing Rico as my second running back. We've already talked about Wandale. I think that he's your immediate wide receiver. Now, as far as my flexes, how do you feel about T-Mac this week? I just don't know how I feel about that relationship with him and Bryce Young. It has not been great.
It's Tampa. I think they're going to have to score points in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it. I would take Tet over Shakir. I would take Tet over Estime. I would take Tet over. If Swift looks like he's going to be limited, that's kind of I would roll Pollard against a defeated KC that's already missed the playoffs, right? Like that's just a garbage game. It's going to be garbage touchdowns. It's going to be garbage big plays because both teams have the Titans are playing just to play and build character. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be defeated as it's the first year they're not make the playoffs. So those guys are just going to be there to collect a check. And when they're there to collect a check, you might get a big play. So to me, I mean, I want Rico and Hampton as the running backs, wide receiver, like you said, Wandale, 2 flexes.
Probably Monungai and T-Mac.
Yeah, I would probably lean that if.
And then after that, I would say Estime.
All right, need to drop 2 to activate London and get a defense for week 17. B-Rob, Algier, Michael Carter, Vidal. Scared to drop B-Rob or Algier just in case Bijan or CMC gets hurt. I also have Hampton with Vidal. Look, I'm going to drop Michael Carter. I don't care if he's
playing Mike Carter this week, yeah, then who cares?
I don't care that he's starting. I'm dropping him. And
you could drop Vidal too.
Yeah,
I would rather have Brian Robinson and Algier in case of an injury. Like if I'm playing Vidal next week, I'm probably losing in the championship anyway.
I will tell you this too, though. When B-Rob and Algier have also looked good when they've got the ball. Like Algier scoring touchdowns for Atlanta, with Bijan healthy. B-Rob has when it goes to between the tackles, he looks significantly better than CMC between the tackles. I'll be honest.
He's looked good. I think the thing with Vidal, because Vidal looked good as well, it's just that offensive line has deteriorated for the Chargers, and that plays such a big role in the success. The San Francisco 49ers are also playing Chicago next week. Chicago's only allowed 10 points per game in the last 3 weeks to running backs. It's a brutal matchup.
Yeah, 100%. Start 3, Barkley, Javonte, Sutton, Terry McLaurin, Hampton, Carter.
Okay. Barkley is a must start for me this week.
I think Barkley's a must start. I mean, he's double digits for sure. Washington,
Barkley,
that's automatic.
Yeah,
it doesn't get much more automatic than that.
Javonte has a tough matchup, but looking at who we have here, he probably is kind of like the best. Like he's in the best situation. The Chargers have been very strong defensively against the run. They've been. How did they do? Do you know off the top of your head how they did against Saquon a couple weeks ago?
How
the Chargers played against Philly. I can look at it real quick. Yeah, I have it right here. He had a 20 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown. So I'm not worried about that.
Well, I mean, this week, yeah. So I was confused because this week, the Eagles play Washington.
Yeah, but Javonte plays the Chargers, so the Chargers locked up.
The Chargers have they have excellent tackles. Like their defensive tackles are big-bodied run stoppers, that just clog the lanes.
But if I'm looking at who they've played Kansas City. It's like old Kareem Hunt does not really do anything for me. Ashton Genty, that offensive line is not great. So it was like the only matchup that was really relevant to me was the Eagles, and they put up 122. So I feel like relatively good about
Javonte. Look at how those yards came though. Like Saquon wasn't running up the pipe in that game.
No.
And that's what I'm saying. So Javonte typically is a between the tackles guy.
That's valid.
It's where Dallas likes to run the ball, and that's where the Chargers' run defense is the best. So, Javonte's going to get touches. I like the volume. It's hard.
I think
Amarion gets Dallas. I mean, granted, it's been different since they got Quinnen Williams, but
let's see. So let's talk the receivers real quick while I'm throwing that out there. I don't see a world where Mike Carter is even on the radar for me. Let's just start.
Yeah, Mike Carter's completely off. It's really start 3 between the front 5. Terry's so up and down. You got Mariota this week.
Watching against Philly. I don't like that matchup for Philly, Terry.
That's tough. So it's really, to me, it's Hampton, Javonte, Barkley, or Sutton. Sutton's coming off a huge game. They're playing. I mean, Jacksonville's decent in the pass defense, but I would say that's probably their weakness. Their linebackers are their strong point. That could be a barn burner despite the defense like that the Denver has. That could be a lot of points in that game.
Give me Barkley, Javonte, Sutton.
So you take Javonte or Sutton over Hampton?
I think it's Barkley 1, Sutton 2, and I'm choosing between Javonte and Hampton. Let me look here. Javonte. Okay. I'm changing my answer. I'm going to go Barkley, Sutton, Hampton. Just matchup driven because Javonte's getting 2 more carries a game. They basically get the same amount of targets. And like you said, that game, that could be a barn burner for sure. Yeah, I don't know. No, yeah, that's like
it's between those 4. So like, if you have a gut feeling, Jason, go with your gut. I would lean Hampton against a weak Dallas defense over Javonte against the tough run defense of the Chargers. Like they have a good middle of the defense. Barkley and Sutton, I think, are good. It's really who you feel better about, Javonte or Hampton. Keep rolling here. We hit that one already. Dane said BTJ and Hunter both buys, especially with Myers extension. Look, let me tell you this. With the Myers extension, I don't know that the Jags haven't decided to just move Hunter to defense.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that though. He might be a defense primary, but there's no way that you do all of that trading and do everything else to have like you don't draft a cornerback second overall.
Sure you do.
No.
I mean, if they're elite enough.
I think he's still the IDP unicorn, but to your point, will he be primarily wide receiver, primarily cornerback? Who's to say? But 3 years, $20 million a year, it's not a bad deal. I like that for Jacoby Myers.
I mean, you look at, dude, people draft corners in the top 3. Derek Stingley Jr.
Trading up for him.
Jeff Okudah. Now Okudah was kind of a bust.
I mean, what? Yeah, like Stingley went like 5 or 6. You had Sauce that went like
Stingley
4.
went 3rd.
Okay.
Overall to the Texans. You know, you got Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Peterson. Those guys went 5th. You know, Jeff Okudah went 3rd. Like, they do go high if they're a shutdown corner.
Man,
you know, he's definitely got to work on his footwork.
That's like all-time bust territory right there.
What?
Okudah 3rd?
Oh, Okudah, yeah, he was 3rd overall in 2020 to the Lions. Bust. Yeah, 100%. I agree. It hurts. It hurts. All right, I'm going to keep hitting these questions. All right, so we got Country Boy Jazz. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like, hit the sub. 12-man PPR. Start who? 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Whew. Quarterbacks. Purdy, McCarthy. Go.
I'm looking. I have Purdy over McCarthy. McCarthy has the really good matchup, but San Francisco's favored. Good coverage matchup for Purdy, and I feel safer with his floor. McCarthy's had those 3 good games or whatever, but I just don't trust 9, so I'd roll with Purdy.
Running backs: CMC, Carter, Aaron Jones, Walker, Rodriguez. My answer to this would have been CMC and Walker. Walker's already played.
I hope you played him.
Yeah, I hope you played him. He had a great game. Like, immediately, like, I literally in my league, it's called Oceans 12. I started CMC and Walker as my top 2 running backs. So hopefully you did the same. Wide receivers, pick 2. You got Diggs, Jennings, Terry, Godwin, Olave. Jennings is hard to get away from out of that group.
Yeah, I think it's Jennings and Olave.
Dude, give me San Francisco, Purdy, CMC, Jennings. Like,
yeah,
go ahead and throw Kittle in there. He's going to have a touchdown. Okay. So you said Jennings and who? And Olave?
Yeah.
And then tight ends, Waller or Ferguson?
Who's Ferguson got this week? They're playing with the Chargers. So he's getting about 5 targets a game. I do like the volume there, but the thing is that matchup. That matchup for Waller against Cincinnati is so good.
You got to remember, you got Quinn Ewers. Waller hasn't had Quinn. He's had Tua. We don't know how Quinn's going to feed him.
It's not about the quarterback. It's about the matchup. That matchup is so good. That matchup is so good. But
we'll see.
Like if I had to choose,
you got Fresh in there.
I'm gonna go Ferguson because I don't trust Quinn Ewers. If I need like a home run out of all of this, I would play Waller. I wouldn't change anything else about the lineup, but if it's like I'm projected to lose, I'm throwing Waller in the lineup.
Fair enough. All right, and then defense: Rams, Falcons, Bucks, Cowboys. Hopefully you didn't play the Rams. There was a lot of points scored in that game.
They got 6 points though.
I'm gonna go Falcons. Falcons have been on terror.
Against Arizona, maybe.
Yes. Dude, are you kidding me?
Bucks, you can't play. The Bucks are awful.
Dude,
Cowboys,
Arizona's going to suck at running the football. They're not going to be able to run the football in Atlanta.
I guess
Brissett's going to take at
yeah.
least 3 sacks, and then their wide receiver is depleted. And Atlanta actually has some decent DBs.
And you can't play Cowboys against the Chargers either, so you kind of have to play the Falcons. But I don't love it.
I love it. I love it, baby. Falcons have been a slow burn for me all season.
Go get the Saints. Go get the Saints and be done with it. They're probably sitting out there.
Dude, the Falcons they've been gold for me all season. In the right matchups, they've been tight. I'm with it. All right, we've got several questions in here. We got to kind of roll pretty quick here. Sonny Terranova, start 2 PPR. Egbuka.
Somebody related to Pete?
I don't know. Egbuka, Aaron Jones, Carter, Estime, Watson.
Whew. You got to roll with Egbuka, I think. Despite like the numbers
and Jones.
Yeah, I like that. I don't trust
any of the pretty, but
no.
All right, and then he came in. This was the same question. Tyler Perry, 334. I've gone back and forth. I'm up 40. Congratulations, by the way. Schultz or Loveland?
Loveland.
Yeah, Loveland's a big smash this week. Although I don't mind Schultz. I think he'll have a good game.
So Schultz has been good too. It's a great problem
there. Devontae Smith, Jaden Reed. Problem is Reed plays after Devonta, so you don't know. You know, to me, Jaden Reed, like Devontae Smith has the higher floor. And so, like, if I'm already up 40, I just want the higher floor. If I can get a touchdown, great. But like with Jaden Reed, you're hoping for a touchdown, right? Like, give me the floor with Devonta Smith.
Cool.
Now, let me ask you this: if Christian Watson doesn't play, does that change it for you?
No.
All right. There it is for you, Tyler Sperry. He said that matchup was good for Lilly and Andrews, who both laid whose eggs versus the Bengals.
Hey, man, that's tough. It happens, but so be it.
What was that relation to?
That was relation to Waller's matchup against the Bengals.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's hard for me to get behind Waller with Quinn Ewers, even with the Bengals.
Hey, man, Quinn Ewers held off Arch Manning for all them years. He's got to be able to do something.
Look, this is what's crazy, and you have to watch out for. I'll put this out there. When you have a team that is eliminated, all of a sudden they start playing players that have been waiting all year to prove themselves, to see what they have. And sometimes they find like the what we've known to be the defense shifts. You know what I mean? Like it's how you've seen it happen. Like, you know, like these guys come out of the woodwork. You're like, oh my gosh, you know, so like watch out. I mean, we'll see. I definitely am not starting Waller with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. I like Ferguson. Ferguson is the check down at like Javonte is not the check down. Ferguson is the check down for Dak.
Sure.
All right, sweet. 10:03. Appreciate all you lovely people tuning into the show. Hit the like button, hit the sub. We appreciate the love. We're here for you every Friday night, 9:00. Let me see. What is next Friday?
Next Friday is the day after Christmas.
The day after Christmas?
Yeah.
We're live the day after Christmas. You live the day after Christmas?
I'm live, baby. I'll be doing it live from Toledo, Ohio.
All right. So we will be here next Friday, day after Christmas. So 9:00 Central next week, Friday night.
That's good luck this week, people. Let's get some championship trophies to get ready for that. So
I know Tyler Perry said there's a reason Quinn Ewers was behind horrible Zach Wilson. Hey, they're giving Quinn the start. But look, here's what I got for you.
Uh-oh. You taking your shirt off or something?
No. I just hope that you guys can bring home one of these bad boys this year. It's round 2. Go get them. Go get them and get that dub. Bring that ship home. We'll see you next week for the championships from the forum. We're out. Y'all have a good night. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.